So my name is Olof Sundström. I'm a principal at BCG here in Stockholm. I focus my career and my teams on three different things. It's technology, the public sector, and environment and social issues. So when Johan invited us to join him in his quest for food technology, we felt that this was sort of the perfect storm that brought all of this together, and obviously we couldn't say no. So I'm here to talk a little bit from a more analytical perspective on how we view food technology and how we think and how we plan to take this forward in Sweden. Please do interrupt if you disagree or any questions. I mean, I can talk about this forever, but it's more interesting if you shout out and we can discuss a little bit. Otherwise, I will run through in about 15 minutes how we see this. And if you fall asleep or if you haven't had your morning coffee, I want you to take away three things. One, food technology could be one of the largest industries on the planet going forward, and it's happening right now. And I guess you guys in this room, are among the people that are shaping this industry. So super exciting. Two, food technology has the potential to fundamentally change the major challenges that humanity is facing right now, including climate change. So if you're leading in that direction, as I do, it's also a very exciting area to be in. And three, Sweden is uniquely positioned to take a global lead in food technology and become a global hub, and that's why we're here, to try to shape that going forward. So it's a massive industry. Doesn't matter what number you pick, it's massive. Right now, it's 40% of every person on the planet working does that related to food. It's more than 7% of global GDP, between very little and half, depending on what country you're talking about. And we eat a lot, partly because we waste a lot, unfortunately. But obviously, this is not an industry that will go away. We will eat forever. All the major tech trends that everyone is talking about right now, doesn't matter which one it is, it's directly linked to food technology. And again, you can just pick one. Big data, yes, that's at the core of how we should treat information around food in the future. Robotics, there won't be 40% of humanity working with food in the future, but how the machines will take over, it's at the very core of this. The Internet of Things, the artificial intelligence, and not least the life science, it's everything that we're focusing on right now within tech can be used in food. We define this vaguely as the science of food applying a tech layer on it to talk about food technology. So it's looking at the entire value chain, and I will come back to that in a second, around food, from the early stages of production all the way to the last mile delivery, and just applying different digital layers and different digital kinds of infrastructure on it to improve, make it more efficient, make it more healthy, whatever you want to achieve through technology. And we're living in those times, I guess. We have nothing else right now. We have tech. In the future, I think we'll have nanotechnology, but right now we have digitization. That's our holy grail. That's the only thing that's driving productivity on the planet right now. So we better use it. Most other industries are far more advanced than the food industry. If we look a little bit historically, it's you could argue that quite a few of the most life-changing innovations that has happened has been, in the past, has been related to food technology one way or the other. From putting food in salt, that's way to the left of this timeline, to the canning processes, to freeze drying, to just having the fridge in people's homes, to the ability to can stuff, to sweeten, to yes, also genetically engineer food, and I'm pretty sure not all of you would agree that that's a good thing, but it's all these things combined has saved more people than antibiotics over time, and it's very likely that this will continue in this direction. No one knows really how. I shouldn't pretend I do, but we have a few trends that we should observe. But if we fast forward 50 years from now, it will be pretty cool to see what we have achieved in terms of moving along this tech axis of food. A couple of things that we're seeing right now, and again, it all depends on what vertical you're looking at. But again, robotics, automation within production could probably increase productivity with endless. It's a very inefficient industry today. If we look at the whole supply chain and the transport and the delivery of food, again, I mean, e-commerce has come a little way in some industries, definitely not within food. Endless opportunities here. If we look at what we eat, it's quite obvious for most people, apart from politicians, I hope there is someone in this room, that we can't eat what we do right now, meat, for instance. So what we eat will be completely altered in the future, whether we like it or not, because it simply can't go on. It's a mathematical impossibility. How we buy food, how we sell food, how information is shared. I can go on and on. It's a very exciting future. Just a couple of glimpse into very recent small things. Maybe these are not things that are going to change the world, but they're quite interesting. So, in-fridge cameras automatically seeing what you have and what you have not and ordering it for you. Integrated cooking that you can time for whenever you want the food to be ready. Breath analysis to see what you should eat and what you shouldn't eat, to recommend your own personal diet depending on your physical composition. Handling waste by making it into fertilizers in less than a day, and so on and so on. It's and I hope some of you are representing a couple of these different innovations. Now, there is a but, of course. Food is also a major concern and a major source of the large problems we're seeing today. We're eating too much and we're eating the wrong things. It's a cliche, but there is only one planet, right? Until we colonize Mars, it's limited, and we're not using it very efficiently right now. We do have the global warming, regardless what Trump says, and we're wasting way too much. Now, demand is increasing in a way that's simply not sustainable. So it's projected we're going to eat roughly twice as much by 2050. We won't be twice as many, we will be more, but we're eating the wrong kind of calories, and we're getting fatter, frankly. Obesity is now a larger problem globally than malnutrition, which is kind of sad in a way, I guess. And we're eating the wrong things. Meat with the current trajectories is estimated to be roughly 3 times higher than today. If you look at, and this is my favorite piece of statistics, if you look at the biomass of Earth, mammals, so the kilo of flesh on the planet, if you want, roughly half is humans. Roughly 49% is meat we used to eat, so cows mainly, some pork, and a bit more than 1%, that's the rest of the animals that we have, that we know of, lions, gorillas, zebras, moose, whatever. You don't believe me, I'm sure, but do the math. This is my job. It's quite shocking. That number needs to go down. Now, supply is severely constrained. There are more of us. We need to live somewhere. Arable land is going down by half, and production capacity will be very, very limited. I'm not going to argue about global warming. I'm just gonna look at the numbers and say about a quarter of total emissions, greenhouse gas equivalents, comes from food production today. Again, mainly from meat production, but also quite a bit from fertilizers. This just simply need to stop. We need to be carbon net negative by 2040-ish. Unless we won't have a problem with food anymore. And this industry needs to take its share. It's possible, obviously. We need to eat slightly different things, and we need to grow things slightly differently, but we just need to do it right now. Waste is one part of the problem. We're wasting somewhere between a quarter and a third of everything we eat. Not really that different from developing or developed economies. Is that different parts of the value chain. But massive inefficiencies. And then you do the math, and you're saying that wait. You say that more than 7% of global GDP is food, and we're wasting a third. That means we're wasting more food than the planet is spending on elderly care. Yes, we are. More than defense. Maybe we're spending too much on defense. I don't know. And food technology could support that. If we look at the value chain again, from the inputs to the growing of stuff, to the trading, to the industries, to us, to eating, and so on and so forth. Food technology can be squeezed into these different boxes. From better fertilizers again to farming technologies and robotics to more intelligent storage to processing and packaging and last mile deliveries, which actually the last mile delivery might be the only thing that's actually sort of developed with the Foodoras and whatever they're called over the world. Just pick your bet and invest, because this is where it's going to happen. A couple of examples: biotechnology to make what we eat more sustainable or more resilient, or both, hopefully. To look at inefficiencies, my favorite topic with AI or just smart algorithms and big data. How do we produce? Where do we produce? Why do we waste? How can we decrease these inefficiencies just a little bit? And we're talking about billions and billions and billions of dollars to be saved in this process. And more. I mean, there are hundreds of super promising companies out there doing anything from health apps to increased information and data labeling, so that what we put in our bodies. The punchline here is it's very large. It can solve a lot of problems. Someone needs to take the lead. All change in history has been made by a group of people coming together and saying, "Hey, screw it, let's do it." And maybe this is the room where we say that, yeah, but let's start. And I think Johan is one of the forces that's driving this. We believe also that Sweden is again uniquely positioned to take the lead. It could give us very large values, but to do so, we really need to think through how to do it and how to work together. Sweden, it's a cold and a dark place, and it snows a lot, but we do have some upsides as well. We're super innovative. We had higher GDP growth, for the last 200 years than most nations. Only because we've been more innovative. We invented new cool stuff. We learned to work together in new ways. Sure, we're a bit bureaucratic and slow, but at least we're moving forward. We have a lot of very highly skilled people in this country, and we're quite low paid, which is great if you're going to start new industries. Venture capital is decently available. We could do more, obviously, but we have a long history of entrepreneurship and risk capital coming in, which is obviously needed. We have pretty good infrastructure, especially for tech industry, and we do have elected leaders that are, maybe too slow, but at least trying to shape the country in the right directions, from technology to policy to regulation, and hopefully also Foodtech in the future if we just push them in the right direction. Now, I probably don't have to argue why this is important, but again, we could feed the planet in a more efficient way. We could reduce these enormous inefficiencies and wastes. We can improve the health of the planet. 70% of unhealth is directly related to food. We could solve a quarter of the environmental issues related to carbon dioxide. And what we need is coming together to create a strategy for how to move this forward. And what we plan to do, and Johan will talk more about this, is we plan to, in the next year or so, get a bunch of smart people together, trying to shape the direction for Sweden within Foodtech. We need to bring the best people from the industry together, from the different kind of organizations and faculties and the politics. We need to define how big is this, what are the opportunities, what does the future actually look like on a short and a medium horizon. We need to understand what values are here for us as a nation and for humanity as a whole. And most importantly, we need to define what we need to do. What policies, what regulations, what technologies should we focus on? What could Sweden do to start pushing this rock in the right direction? And I hope that you will join me in this one way or the other. Thank you so much for your time.